hello everyone, and welcome to our monthly PGI Q&A call. We are so happy that all of you guys are here to join us, and we have a very special guest filling in for Bob today. So welcome Ms. Peggy McCall to the call. Peggy McCall to the call.
Sounds funny, doesn't it?
We are so happy that you're here with us to answer all these wonderful questions that we got in advance. So if you're ready, Peggy, we'll go ahead and get started.
I was born ready, Tracy. Let's get going.
All right.
All right, great. All right, so our first question here is from Beate, and the question is, what do you suggest is best for strengthening my attention despite a chaotic environment? Well, Beate, that is a great question. I know one of the techniques that Bob teaches, and you may or may not have heard of it, but he talks about getting a candle and lighting a candle and setting a timer, perhaps either an egg timer or a timer on your phone, where you can decide that you're going to stare at that candle for a specific period of time. And you can start with a short period of time in the beginning, like a minute or something like that. But that is definitely a way that you strengthen your focus and your attention on one particular item on the candle. The other things that I've done in my own experience in order to focus is I've decided to shut off any noise if you can. Like if you're in an environment where there's a lot of noise, perhaps you could even put on headphones and have some either quiet music or very, very soft, gentle music playing. Another thing is I will ensure that anything that's technologically savvy, like computer screens, music, or anything like that, if it's around the home or around the home office, I will turn that off and make sure that it's quiet. Another thing that I do, and this may be helpful to you, is that I will allocate and actually schedule time in my agenda where I will decide that I'm going to focus on a particular item for that period of time. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm developing a program or a module or a bonus or doing something that I'm preparing for my clients and my prospects. What I'll do is I'll have it scheduled in my agenda. But I'll also make a commitment that I'm going to complete it or make some kind of a progress. If I'm writing, as an example, I'm going to write so many words in that hour. And I don't allow myself to get up. I really dedicate the time. I discipline myself to do it. Now, getting into the habit of doing that creates the habit of having a more focused attention. So those are some suggestions for you, Beate. Okay, the next question that we have is from, not sure how to pronounce the name, so I apologize if I'm not saying your name perfectly. Joachim, by far most qualifiers in the inner circle are young and female. And what Joachim's talking about is the thinking and results consultants. So they're mostly young and female. It seems for older people it is more difficult to shift paradigms and see results. What do you suggest to older folks to do differently in order to have great results? All right, the first thing is that the paradigm that you have is that it's more difficult for older people. Is it difficult for older people? Not always. It depends. It depends on if you believe it's going to be difficult. It's like Henry Ford, who said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. So if you believe it's going to be difficult, it's going to be difficult. What if you believe that it was easy? What if you got to a state of dissatisfaction? And as you've heard Bob say, it's a very creative state. It's a very empowering state. And in that state of dissatisfaction, you decided that you're going to discipline yourself to get the results that you're looking for. So the first thing I would suggest is to stop saying that it's more difficult for older people. And that what you can do is that you can decide and see yourself in that inner circle. You can decide that you're going to be one of the leaders in the TIR consultant program, that you're going to be someone that they're highlighting and focusing every single week in the newsletter. You're someone that's getting on stage at the event and you're sharing. Now, if you've been to the TIR consultant training, which I believe you have, you will see that there are a number of TIR consultants like Brian Dalmasco and Karen Brook and Eva and Kim, and what they do is they get on stage and they'll share their story. They'll share what they've done. There's so much to learn from by being at that consultant training. But what I find so impressive is that all of them saw the results in advance. Everyone has the opportunity to succeed. If you're a consultant in TIR, you all have the same opportunity. The fact that one person is creating phenomenal success is simply because they are a product of the product, so they really believe in the product and they've used it in their own life to make positive results. So they're living it, breathing it, they're working with the law, and they're getting out there and they're taking action. And we've got people in all parts of the world that are making this happen. Now, the second part of your question is, what do you suggest to become successful with TIR as a consultant in an area that is predominantly non-English speaking? What I suggest for that is to follow what's taught in the TIR training, what they teach the consultants to do, because whether it's training that, or whether it's a methodology that's being done in English, is being taught in English, you can absolutely apply it to any other language. So essentially, you're doing the same thing that's being taught, and of course is being taught in English, but you're doing it in another language. It's not any different in another language. It's the same process, the same methodology, whether it's in English or another language, and it works. All right, the next question that we have is from Laura, and Laura says, what are the top 3 action steps you consider essential for life success and why? What are the top 3 action steps that you consider essential for life success? Well, number 1 would be studying. The reason why is because it expands your awareness. And the more aware you are, the more likely you're going to apply the knowledge that you're learning. So studying is number 1. Number 2 is that you must become aligned with your outcome. Absolutely essential. So what do I mean by that? If you have a goal to be earning a certain amount of money a year, and I noticed there were some questions about this as well, you must feel, act as if you're already earning that kind of money. You are that person that's earning that kind of money. In other words, you're in alignment. You're on the same frequency as that goal that you've set for yourself. And why is that essential? Because that's how we manifest things into physical form. Another action step that's essential for life success is to take action, consistent action. Every single day. One of the things that Bob talks about, and he talked about it and he talks about it in his programs, he talked about it at the last live event, is that you set yourself 6 things that you're going to do the next day that are action items that are going to be taking you in the direction of your goals. So that's essential. I know that one of the reasons why I've experienced the success that I have is because I'm an action taker. I'm a doer. Someone said to me the other day, you are a get her done kind of gal, and that's absolutely right. So those are the 3 things. Number 1, study. Number 2, get into alignment with everything that you desire. And number 3 is to take action. All right, let's go to the next page, Tracy, and we'll look at the next questions. Okay, the next question is from Chantel, and it says, I listen to Lead the Field lessons every night and throughout the day. That's fantastic. It's like someone holding my hand, guiding me from the dark and into the light. Am I on the right track? I need reassurance. Absolutely, you're on the right track. What I love about what I'm hearing here from Chantel is that she is studying day and night. You're absolutely on the right track. And you're right, Lead the Field is like someone holding your hand and guiding you all the way. It's a phenomenal program. It's one of the best programs that you can find. So yes, you're on the right track. All right, let's go to Jody's question. Do you have any simple techniques to build up our mental faculties? For example, staring at a candle to build up concentration, for the imagination to visualize and perhaps rearrange your room. Could you please share any simple exercises for strengthening mental faculties? All right, great question, Jody. I love that you're asking that. One of the, I'm just thinking of what the mental faculties are. One of the mental faculties is memory. And so if you want to build memory, there are a lot of either apps that you can get for your phone, or there's things online. Luminosity is actually a place where you can help build your memory and help build your mental thinking faculties as well. So you may want to look for different things that can help. It depends on the actual mental faculty that you're looking to build upon. Imagination, which you've mentioned, is one of the most powerful of our mental faculties. So what can you do to strengthen that? What you can do is dedicate some time every single day that you are going to be visualizing. right? You're going to tap into your imagination. So it could be early morning or late at night when it's quiet, right, where there aren't any distractions. And you just close your eyes. And now you can do this in a couple of different ways. You could either close your eyes and in your imagination go to that place. And that place is you living the life of your dreams, you having whatever it is that you want. It could be a particular goal. It could be just general life, whatever it is, just investing the time. But you've got to see it, right? So honing in on that mental faculty is you reminding yourself and thinking about what pictures, what would I see if I was in that experience. So you hone it. It's like you're working on it all the time, really thinking about it, but dedicate the time to do it. Another method is to create something like a vision board. And a vision board is where you take images, photos, different things that will remind you and put you into that vibrational feeling, that frequency of having that which you desire. Another technique that I have is a process that I use. I call it my Power Life movie. Now, I have something called Power Life Script, which I believe many of you may or may not have heard about, but Power Life Script is where you script your life as you want it to be. You write it out as if it's present tense, including all the emotions, the feelings, everything that you would be feeling living that life. And then you create word pictures as well so that you can see it in your imagination and listen to it you record it and then listen to it every single day. And I do that multiple times every single day. And therefore, you are strengthening your imagination. But I have another process that I'm honing and I've been doing for a number of years. It's called a Power Life movie. And this is where I take a PowerPoint presentation and I put images in the PowerPoint slide presentation, and then I save the file as a movie, and then I bring it into iMovie. I have a MacBook. I bring it into iMovie. I speed it up. I put binaural beat music below it, and then I watch it. I watch it on my screen, and it just takes a matter of a few minutes, and all these images are flashing by. But what is it doing? It's strengthening my imagination, and that's what you want to do. You want to strengthen your imagination. So those are some suggestions that I would suggest for strengthening your mental faculties. Okay, Nika says, let me just get my glasses on here. I want to make sure I can read that properly. Oh, Niku, sorry about that. Do our salespeople need to learn the script word for word? When they cold call customers over the phone, do they still need to set appointments to make the presentation? When they cold call customer, do they still need to set appointments to make the presentation? I'm going to answer the second part of the question before the first part. Yes, setting appointments, what that does is it creates a level of commitment. If they have committed to an appointment, then they're far more serious and far more committed at the onset to pay attention to what you're going to be offering them. Now, the first part of the question here is, do you need to learn the script word for word? No, you don't. Now, the scripts are designed to help you. The scripts are designed to give you guidance, but you've got to be flexible with the approach as well. Yes, it can serve you to learn those scripts verbatim, to understand them, that you don't even have to refer to them. But you also want to really pay attention to the energy of the call, of the person that you're talking to, the prospect. You want to feel as relaxed and as natural as possible. Because if you're feeling that this is all staged, that the questions or the script is designed in a way that feels more robotic and not natural, well, the person that you're going to be meeting with, that you're going to have the appointment with, is going to feel it as well. So if you do understand or learn the scripts verbatim, ensure that when you're delivering them, that it just comes across so natural, that it's not that you're reading anything, that it's as if you're having a dialogue or a conversation with somebody else. But those scripts were created for a very good reason, because they work. So that's what I would suggest for that. Okay, let's go to our next question. All right, from Dudu. Hope I'm saying that right. How do I use the programs we have learned so far to start a business from scratch? I have no experience and I'm looking for guidance. I have an idea and I know what, I do not know how. All right, great. How do I take your programs to make my paycheck so that it is the same as an employee's monthly salary from a business? The decision has already been made. Okay. Let me answer the first part of that question. I'm going to get to the next part of the question as well. So how do I use the programs we have learned so far to start a business from scratch? If you think about any business that's ever been created, if you think about the 500 people that Napoleon Hill studied that had created phenomenal success, they all had several things in common. And that's frankly what Think and Grow Rich is all about. It's about the 13 principles for success. So they had specific things that they were doing that caused them, and being that caused them to create success. So the absolute best thing that you can do with these programs is be an example of the material. In other words, you understand the material so well that you're implementing the material so well that you are producing great results. You are in a positive mindset. You've got the right attitude. You're setting your goals. You're getting into alignment with those goals, and you are moving in the right direction. But how do you start a business from scratch? You see, and I like that you said I had no experience and you're looking for guidance. I incorporated my business in 1994. And when I incorporated my business, I was at home with my baby. And I had absolutely zero experience in business. Zero. My father was a janitor who worked for a company. My mother was a checkout clerk in a company or in a grocery store. I did not have entrepreneurial parents. We were raised in a very poor environment. So I did not have the knowledge. I did not have the education. I did not have the leaders or the role models or anyone that was guiding me to create a business. But business, a big part of business is really common sense. And I love when Bob talks about the law of compensation. He says the law of compensation. Now think about compensation. We're compensated based on the value that we bring to the world. And Bob says the law of compensation is based on three things. And this he learned from Earl Nightingale, by the way. So the law of compensation it starts with the need for what you do. All businesses are created based on a need. It could be not necessarily a survival need, but it's just something that people want. Now, I'm delivering this call right here, right now from a hotel in Las Vegas. I'm speaking at a conference today. And this hotel was simply an idea in someone's mind. Now, was there a need for a hotel? Maybe not a deep need, because there are other hotels right here on the Strip. But they decided they wanted one. They wanted to give people another experience. I've never stayed in this hotel. It's quite a beautiful hotel, luxurious, etc. So somebody got an idea, and that's where businesses begin. They begin with an idea, regardless of whether you have the experience, regardless of whether you've been educated, regardless of whether you have someone who's been a lead or a guide or a mentor that's shown you the way. When you have the right mental attitude, when you get a hold of an idea, when you decide you're going to do something, you will find a way, and you will not know how in the beginning. See, that's the thing that stops most people, is that they believe that they've got to know how. How am I going to do that? How am I going to have a business? Look, just decide you're going to have a business. Remember Bob, he tells this story all the time that he decided that he was going to have a business that operated all over the world. Did he know how he was going to do that? No. Did he know exactly what that would look like? No. But he had the objective, he had the goal, and he knew, he was certain, he had a certain level of conviction that it would happen. That's what you have to have. You have to decide that you own your own business. You have to decide that it's a very successful business, that you are fulfilling the needs of what others have. So let's go back to the law of compensation. Number one, the need for what you do. Number two, your ability to do it. So when you do start a business, you want to start a business that's doing it better than anyone else, that is effective, extraordinary, wonderful, and you're really in the spirit of being of service. And then the third part of the law of compensation is the difficulty there is in replacing you. And think about that. Think about the difficulty there is in replacing Bob Proctor. Like, I was invited to deliver this call today. Now, I've studied with Bob Proctor 40 years. Now, I know I'm not replacing Bob Proctor, but I have a pretty good darn understanding of Bob's thinking because I've studied what he studied and I've studied him. So Bob is someone that could never be replaced. And that's the way it is in business as well. You want to create a business that is fulfilling people's needs, that you've created a model, like a revenue model, that has profitability built in. You want to be in business that, yes, you're earning money. And earning money is just a direct example of you giving something of value. You're going to get something of value back. So decide you're going to start that business. Decide it's going to be successful. Set some objectives. And even if you don't know what you're going to do, Just know that the ideas are going to come to you. My business was incorporated in 1994. And I started doing workshops in my dining room. And I was doing workshops based on destiny achievement. And then I moved into doing soft skills training. And then in 2000, I wrote a book. And then I ended up helping other people market their books because I was effectively doing it. And then I was, finding that my business was generating millions of dollars in profitable revenue. And people wanted to learn how to do a business and creating profitable revenue. So I started doing that. And so I found that you've got to be flexible. You've got to be flexible in what you're bringing to the world. You've got to be flexible in how you're feeling about it. You got to be flexible in how you're serving, and really pay attention to what you love, how you want to serve people, and where those needs and wants are in the world. All right, so how do I use your programs to make my paycheck so that it is the same as an employee monthly salary from a business? The decision has already been made. Well, you can be an affiliate of Proctor Gallagher Institute. And being an affiliate of Proctor Gallagher Institute will allow you to promote their programs, their products, and you earn money. And if you want to find out a little bit more about the affiliate program, you can send an email to Tracy. What's the email address? Is it affiliates@proctorgallagher.com? What's the email address?
You got it, affiliates@proctorgallagher.com, or they can go to affiliates.proctorgallagherinstitute.com.
Perfect. Well. Thank you very much. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, the next question is from, it looks like Mikhail, and it says, what are some action steps I should do to create a successful coaching or workshop business in the personal development area? I want to help people start doing what they really love and help them start business with their passion. Well, the obvious answer is to become a thinking and a results consultant. Why? Because not only are you given the resources and the tools and the materials for you to teach, but they teach you how to run the business, how to serve clients, how to get clients, how to scale your business. It's a phenomenal program, absolutely worth 1,000 times what the investment is to become a thinking and a results consultant. So that would be my suggestion. However, if that's not what you want to do and you're deciding you want to have your own coaching business or workshop business, again, this is not rocket science we're talking about. And similar to what I just answered for the previous question on having a business or starting a business, you just simply start. Years ago, I had a client that I worked with by the name of Marie Forleo. And you may or may not be familiar with Marie Forleo, but Marie was a young woman, and I remember she took my program, and I remember meeting with her. She was living in New York City, and I was in New York City on business, and she said to me, she says, I want to coach women. I said, great, then coach women. And she really didn't understand, how she was going to do it, but she had the desire. So she had the desire, she sought out to get some help, and then she started to offer her services online and got some clients and help them get results. But similar to being a thinking and a results consultant and getting into inner circle, you've got to be a product of the product. So what that means is that if you're looking to create a program or offering or coaching on how to be successful, my belief is that you should be successful already. It validates who you are, and it creates a greater sense of understanding or a greater sense of knowingness from people who are going to work with you. You've got to be someone who has already done what it is that you're helping other people do. Okay, perfect. Okay, the next question is from Sergio. The Magic in Your Mind program is incredible. Can you inform me, is there a book related to the mental faculties that you recommend to me? All right, great question, Sergio. A book that you would recommend, the first one that comes to my mind is a book called Working with the Law. Working with the Law is it's a fabulous book. It's absolutely incredible. So that would be one book that I would recommend. Another book that I would recommend is In Tune with the Infinite by Ralph Waldo Trine. That's another book that I would recommend. Now, those are going to get you thinking a little differently. They're a little deeper, really cause you to have some moments of pause to really think about it, but they're fabulous, valuable books. Another book, which I would say is maybe a lot more easier to understand, would be The Power of Awareness. And The Power of Awareness is a book by Neville Goddard. And of course, any of Bob Proctor's books I would absolutely recommend. Thank you, Sergio, for asking. Okay, let's go to the next question. Fabio. Okay, great. Fabio says, I have failed largely in my past. I don't like to talk about it with people. I fear to lose credibility with potential clients. Should I become truer and disclose my story if I'm asked? I love that question, Fabio, and thank you for having the heart and the honesty to ask that question. And the answer to that question is every successful person has failed. Every successful person has failed. Our failures are designed to strengthen us. Actually, they're not designed to, but they can strengthen us or teach us or remind us of what not to do. Like I have had moments where even after studying these materials for years of finding myself in a hole, and you know what? When I share the stories authentically of what I was going through and being true to my story, people resonate with you. They connect with you. Why? Because they see that you are like them, human. You're human. So the fact that you failed is a great thing because people will relate to you. People love authenticity. People love honesty. They love people of integrity. So absolutely be true to your stories. However, what I do suggest is that you share them in a positive way. So for example, if you look at these experiences that you had in your life, you can say, okay, well, what I learned from that is, and then when you're sharing the lessons learned and how you turned it around or how you came at that, it inspires others as well. All right, the next part of Fabio's question is, I just had an idea for a new business in the self-development industry where I have no experience. Do you think I should start anyway? Absolutely. Or should I wait until I'm ready? Absolutely get started right away. I started my business and I was not necessarily ready. However, I was excited about the idea and I wanted to bring the ideas to the world. Do you know the other tremendous benefit to delivering anything, whether it's thinking in results or any kind of program, whether it's your own program, is that the more you teach these materials, the more you speak about these materials, the stronger you become. It strengthens you. So it's an extremely valuable thing to do for you as well. I remember in May of 2014, Bob Proctor and I were heading to the ballroom. It was a weekend event and I was going to be presenting there. And we were presenting Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, essentially taking the book, and a program had been created for that from that book. And I was delivering some of the chapters from that book. And I remember Bob and I were racing down to the ballroom. And if you've ever walked beside Bob, even though he's a little more elderly, he moves. I mean, he goes fast and he's racing, and I said, Bob, like, what's the hurry? And he said, oh, I'm just so excited. And I said, what are you excited about? He says, I'm excited because I'm going to hear these materials again. I said, well, you're the speaker. And he said, yes, but it still reinforces within me every time I teach it. And that thought, I'll never forget that, because it's like, well, of course, I never really thought about it that way. Now, Bob doesn't teach what he teaches because he's looking to strengthen himself. He's doing it to give something of value, but he wins every time because he's sharing the messages. That's why our TIR consultants who are really out there, that are really making it happen, continue to strengthen themselves and get stronger and more powerful, because they're sharing such valuable information that it strengthens them as they're helping to strengthen others. Okay, Marcus says, I have many ideas what I will do with the money I am manifesting, such as my own company, a house in the mountains, a boat, charity. Is it good to have multiple goals to define a goal to one specific wish? Love that question, Marcus. Well, absolutely have as many goals as you want. There's no limit to the amount of goals that you can have, and you can define your life to be the way you desire it to be. And I mentioned a few minutes ago, one of my strategies is something called the Power Life Script. Now, the middle word is life, so it's everything about your life. So my Power Life Script is about 27 minutes long. And I talk about my relationship with my wonderful husband. I talk about my relationship with my grandson, with my son. I talk about my clients. I talk about my business. I talk about my physical body. I talk about how I feel. I talk about our beautiful home that we own. I talk about our cottage. I talk about our boats. I talk about driving down the road. I talk about the way I travel. All of it, every single part of it. So they are like goals, but I write them out as if I'm already experiencing them. And however, I have one goal that I have on my goal card. And so that's where I think some people get confused and they think that they should only have one goal. But on your goal card, having one goal is something, it's one thing that you're going to give your your focus on, and that's what you're going to manifest. But quite often, that goal that you have on your goal card is going to have a positive ripple effect in other areas of your life. I know mine does. My goal that I have for myself positively impacts every area that's important to me in my life. Okay, let's go to the next question. Veronique, I'm having trouble finding my goal and purpose. Is there support in this aspect within PGI available to me? Great question, Veronique. And this is something that's discussed, and I notice this is discussed at almost all of the events. So Veronique, if you weren't at the goal the goal creation program, which was just delivered in Los Angeles, hopefully you can still get the stream to that. But that was a program that was all about goals, right? Now, first thing I would suggest is, let me just give you some guidance on this. Well, first thing I would suggest is if you haven't watched the stream for that, watch the stream for the program that was offered last weekend. And if you're confused, just send an email to support and say, I want to find the link or the access or where I can invest in the streaming from the Goal Achievers program that was held in Los Angeles about a week ago. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. And because that program was all about goals. The next thing is I would stop saying you're having trouble finding your goal, because as you know, and Bob would say this, as you know, if we keep declaring that, we're going to continue to experience that, and that's not what you want. And your goal and your purpose are different things. So I'm going to talk about the goal first, then I'm going to go to the purpose. So the goal, finding your goal, is I would start to declare to the universe that you are grateful that you know exactly what your goal is, that you are in love with your goal, and you feel really good about your goal, even if you don't know what it is. Because when you declare what that goal is, you are going to know. How do you know? You know by how you feel in your heart. Like my goal card has lipstick on it. Why? Because I kiss it. I am in love with my goal. Bob suggested get a goal that you are in love with. So how do you find that goal? You get quiet. First of all, you decide you already have it, and then you get quiet and just say, what would I really love? What's the goal that would just like totally turn me on? It's the goal that keeps you awake at night, but with excitement, right? Not with fear or trepidation or anything like that. It's the goal that really gets you excited. What is it? And it could be anything. See, a part of the reason why people don't even get to that goal is because they start thinking, how am I going to do it? And they start thinking limited supply. They start thinking from limitations. So get rid of that idea and think anything's possible. You could have, do, be anything. What would you love? If I was a genie that just came out of a bottle after you rubbed the Aladdin's lamp and I said, your wish is my command, what would it be? Right? Just get real clear on that. It may take you a couple days to figure out what it is, but start to feel as if you already know what it is, and you will determine what that is. Purpose is a little different. Purpose is what you decide why you're here. You know, why do you believe that you're here? What's the purpose of your life? What is it that you really, really, really want to do? And back in the 90s, I became very clear on my purpose. My purpose is to make a positive contribution to the lives of millions. That's why I'm here on earth. I take that very, very seriously. So you got to know what's in your heart. What do you believe is the purpose of your life? And declare that you're happy and grateful that you now know what that is as well, and you will find it. Okay, our next question is from Adam. Adam says, I have no idea what services I can provide to claim my income goals. How do you develop multiple income streams? I have a job. It is keeping the lights on, but doesn't evoke true passion for me. How do you find your true purpose? My main responsibility is caring for my young children. I love that. And I love that your family is such a priority for you, Adam. So you've got to decide, first of all, multiple streams, very, very easy. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But you've got to decide, what are you most passionate about? What feels passionate to you? You mentioned caring for your young children. Maybe it's something in that genre or that area of doing something with children or for children. You see, you start to think about, if I was doing work that I deeply love, that I was so excited to get up in the morning, and that all day long I was declaring, I love what I do, I love what I do, I love what I do, what would that be? It may be something that no one's ever thought of before. It may be something that's similar to something that someone's doing right now. It may be something that is the same as what someone else is doing right now. But that's what I would play with that idea. You're really tapping into your mental faculty called your imagination. Play with that idea and allow the answer to come to the surface. Now, you have a job right now. Well, I would give thanks for that. I would absolutely give thanks. I'd be in a state of gratitude because it is keeping the lights on, as you mentioned. And it isn't a true passion, but it's a way, it's a means, it's something that's helping you now. Obviously, your children are important to you. It's helping you take care of your children as well. So I'd be in a state of gratitude that you have that job. Not everybody has jobs. There's people who are in the streets. You have a job. You've got lots to be grateful for, because when you're grateful, you attract more good into your life. You attract more good in so many ways. So be in a state of gratitude. Be in a state of gratitude for that job, and you're going to find exactly what you want to do. Okay, let's go to Jasmine. Jasmine said, a few months back, I had to decide about surgery for my Chihuahua. The surgery was meant to prolong her life, but she died at the end of it. Without surgery, she might have lived another good year or so. I feel guilty, and my heart is heavy. Just don't seem to get over it. She was like my four-legged daughter. Any suggestions that might help? Well, Jasmine, as a person who loves dogs, I have 2 dogs myself, and I had 2 dogs pass away, one last year and one the year before. I can totally relate. But let me start by saying guilt is a useless emotion. It's a useless emotion unless you use it as something that can be a lesson learned. And that can be a beneficial thing. It's not going to serve you. It's not going to serve you. Your Chihuahua has gone on to its eternal life, and the spirit will always remain. The memories are always remain. So what you can do is you can focus on how much love you experienced with your Chihuahua, how much love it was to have that being in your life at the time that you did. You see, when we had our dog Pablo, who died on March 23rd, 2017, he had cancer, and we didn't know it. And, you know, when we discovered that he had cancer, I mean, he was really sick at that point. We're like, if we had known earlier, but he can't go there. I mean, it's not going to serve you. You just learn from it, right? Let it go. You've got to get into a state of letting it go. It is what it is. It is what it is. Harvest the good and forgive the rest. Bob talks about that 3-step process all the time. Don't feel bad about it. Don't have any negative emotions. Switch over to positive emotions, sharing in the joy and the love that you had while you had your little girl, your little Chihuahua in your life. My little dog, Noelle, died February 2nd last year, and she was just the best dog ever. I was so attached to her, so connected to her, and she started going into seizures. She was 15 and a half. She started going into seizures. I did not want to put her down, as they call it. And people were saying to me, you're going to have to, you know, let her go. And I did not want to let her go. And I called the vet. They came to my home, and they took a look at her, and they said, she's suffering. She's suffering. And it's like, oh, you know, it was such a difficult decision, you know, and seeing her take her last little breath was really challenging. And so anyone that's gone through that experience, you know, they've got that guilt feeling. It's like, maybe she could have lived longer, you know, whatever it is, but just let it go. It's not going to serve you. Let it go. Love the memories and love the experience that you've had, and forgive the rest. Okay, let's go to the next question here. I think I need to go down my screen. Oopsie. Hang on
okay,
a second.
I'll read it off to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it's from Dina. Since I've been working on my goals, I have had trouble with family members trying to bring me down. It has affected my nerves in a negative way. I have stopped talking to them, but they are persistent. What should I do?
I love that question, Dina, and I love that question because that was my experience. You know, when I decided to get out of the prison, as Bob talked about the Vernon Howard quote, Bob Proctor quoted Vernon Howard. He said, you can't escape from a prison unless you know you're in one. And that was one of the first quotes I ever heard Bob say. And so I was a prison. It was a prison of my own making, although it was built based on paradigms that were built as a young child. I was in a very negative family. And when I started to change, they weren't happy about it. And I tried taking them to Bob Proctor seminars. We're talking almost 40 years ago now. I would take them to Bob Proctor seminars, almost kicking and screaming. And then they'd go to them, and then they'd be like, you know, because they didn't want to be there, right? They weren't inspired to make some positive change. So you know what I did? I just decided I'm just going to duck and let it go by. Just let it go by. Let it go by. It doesn't have any power over you. You said in your question, it has affected my nerves. That's a choice we make. Now, we may not always recognize that we're making that choice, but we are always in control of how we feel. So don't let you affect your nerves. So what I started doing was something that Bob talked about in one of his seminars called psychological reciprocity. Psychological reciprocity is where someone takes a stab at you, but instead of you hitting back, or instead of you taking the strength of their stab and bringing them down, you just duck, let it go by, duck, let it go by. Just, it is what it is. I mean, they're going to be in that place. But what ultimately happens is when your results are changing and continue to change and continue to get better, they get really curious. So when I decided that I wasn't going to try and battle with my family or argue with them because they saw me changing and me growing and I would just duck and let their comments go by, they started to notice my results. And then they became inquisitive. Then they started asking questions. And then all of a sudden they're showing up at my seminars. I remember having my mom in the back of the room at one of my seminars, and I never thought that was ever going to happen, but it did. And even my sister, you know, she's built a business around it. I remember one time her saying to me, I want to be a better person. It's like, who are you and what have you done with my sister? I didn't say that, but that was the thought that I had in my mind. But I'll tell you, your family and everyone around you will change when you change. When you stay consistent, when you stay congruent to the message, you're going to change. They're going to change as well. Just don't allow it to influence you in any negative way whatsoever. All right, let's go to the next page. From Amir, Neville writes that once our inner speaking matches what we desire, we fuse with it. Is this the same as getting into the spirit of it? Love this question, Amir. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And I love Neville Goddard. He's one of my absolute favorites. And one of the things I love about Neville Goddard is he talks about feeling natural, like getting to that point where you have such a strong sense of knowing, where you feel so certain that what you desire is already in your life, that you are fused with it, if you will. Absolutely, you're in the spirit of it. You're in the spirit of living and being and doing whatever it is that you desire. So yes. Sylvia says, hi, Peggy, I'm struggling with stress affecting my health. Have you got any stress releasing techniques? Great question, Sylvia. I love that. One of the things that I would suggest is, the reason why I just paused there for a moment is this morning I created a morning money class. And you'll see it on Monday. If you're a subscriber, it's free. It's totally free. So you can go to my website, peggymccall.com, and on the front page you can access my morning money class subscription. And so I created, it's actually a 6-minute video that I did this morning. And anyone who's a subscriber will see it on Monday. And it's called Breaking the Habit of Worry. Breaking the habit of worry. So I love, Sylvia, that you're asking this question, because essentially that's what we're talking about here. You're in a habit. Like, stress is something that people tend to habitually experience. It's like a learned behavior, if you will. And I know that because my mother was a huge worrier. She would stress over everything. So, like, children learn from observing their parents, not necessarily what they're hearing from their parents, but what they're seeing their parents do or be or act. And so when you're struggling with stress, you've got to have some techniques that are going to get you out of that. So I talk about that in the video that you'll see on Monday, a 6-minute video. As I said, I suggest you sign up right now for my morning money class because they're free, and then you're going to see this video on Monday. And essentially what I say is that you've got to notice when that emotion shows up. So as soon as you start to feel stress, you just like notice it's there. And usually you're not breathing when you're feeling that, right? It's like you're uptight, your shoulders up. Like, I know if I do get stressed, and I've been stressed, absolutely, it's like I can't turn my head. It's like my head gets all stressed. And I'll find that sometimes if I'm traveling and I have connecting flights, or I'm speaking and I got to get there and something like that, or you're stuck in traffic. And so you just notice that it's there, and then you decide, I'm just switching out of this emotion. This emotion is not going to serve me in this moment. So that's a decision. And all this is kind of like a dialogue that's going on in your own mind. And then you switch. So how do you switch? Well, one of the things that I do is I'll take some deep breaths. Because when we're stressed or when we're worrying, we're not breathing properly. We're breathing shallow. So you take some deep breaths. Other things, like I'll plug in my little AirPods and I'll listen to my Power Life script. I will pull out my goal card. I'll just close my eyes and do some visualizing. I'll ask myself questions like, what is it that I would love in this moment right now? What's the outcome that I would love? So I get focusing on something that feels very relaxing. So those are some of the suggestions. In addition to that, Sylvia, make sure you sign up for the Morning Money class. I've done 348 of them, so you'll find lots of them there. Laura says, I realize that working with the law by RH is not translated in my native language. I'd like to do this. Whom should I contact first? All right, what you do is with any book, you got to look for who owns the copyright to the material. And so that's typically in the beginning of a book, in the first part of a book. Just go and see who owns the copyright. Then you can contact them and ask them to translate the book into another language. If it is a book that's in what's called public domain, meaning it's available to anyone, then you probably don't need to ask anyone. But I would check that first. How do you check? You look in the beginning of the book and you see if there's any copyright information that's in there. All right, thank you. Next. From Miko. All right, Miko says, is it possible to be oriented in more than one goal during BPC? Let me just put my glasses on here. I want to make sure I'm reading this perfectly. Is it possible to be oriented in more than one goal during BPC? For example, one is creating wealth and another is relationships. Does that mean because with a better relationship, I'm better oriented or earning money? Does visualization help in improving relationships and make it better? Absolutely. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to answer the second question, then I come up to the first question. Does visualization help in improving relationships and make it better? Absolutely. You see yourself in that relationship. I did that with my husband. Before I even met him, I saw me walking down the street with my husband. And now that I am happily married and been happily married for many, many years now, I always declare as part of my life script that my marriage gets better and better every day in every way. I have a really great marriage, but it does get better. So what do I visualize? I see us laughing together. I see us traveling together. I see us walking our dogs together. I see us playing golf together. So I visualize those kinds of things. Is it possible to be oriented in more than one goal during BPC? For example, one is creating wealth and another is relationships. Well, we're a multifaceted being. We are not only about earning money. We're not only about having a relationship. And yeah, better oriented on earning money, having a better relationship. It's interesting because I had a girlfriend of mine say to me recently that since my husband Denny came into my life, my results just got better and better and better. And frankly, I didn't really notice that. I know they get better and better because I'm always working on me. I'm always working on improving me. But interesting enough, they do. Now, why is that? Because I think naturally we're meant to be with somebody. When we are in love and when we're in a healthy relationship, I find it just has this positive ripple effect that goes into other areas of our lives. Like my husband is so incredibly supportive and he's so loving and he's so incredible. He's retired. He's on a golf course right now, actually with Brian Proctor. And I'm here in Vegas speaking at a conference. But we totally respect each other, we totally love each other, and we have this wonderful, wonderful relationship. And yeah, the business just gets better and better all the time. So you will likely have more than one goal, but just like the goal card, you're focusing on one particular C-type goal, a goal that excites you and scares you at the same time. But it's not the only thing you're working on. I have multiple goals that I'm working on at any one time. But I have one goal that I focus on my goal card. But being a multifaceted person, I have multiple goals. Monica says, recently an idea came to mind to promote PGI programs through ClickBank. As I'd like it to be my primary source of income for the time being, could you please suggest an affirmation to attract more customers and make sales? Also, should I read this online business as a goal? Should I treat this online business as a goal? If it feels like something you really want to do, that you're really passionate about, then yes. And so what you may want to do, sounds like, Monica, you're motivated by earning money, and maybe that's the goal that you set for yourself. And so if it's going to be your primary source of income and you absolutely want to be promoting PGI programs, what you may want to say is that I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm easily earning and give that amount of money by promoting these valuable Proctor Gallagher Institute programs that's benefiting millions of people all over the world. There you go. That could be a great affirmation. You may want to write that down. Now, fortunately, this call is being recorded, so you'll be able to check that out a little bit later. Let me check the timing of this. You can just go straight to about 49 minutes into the call and you'll have the answer if you didn't write that down as I said it. Okay, the next question is from Austin. Austin, if you could describe the text from James Allen on page 5 in the Goal Achiever document, how would you describe it to me? Okay, let me pull that up. I'm just going over here. Okay, here's what it says. So this is the quote that he's referring to by James Allen. Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. I love that quote. I love it. Well, it's kind of like a little poem, actually. Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind. So everything that we create starts with, and you think about what Bob shares with the stick man process, conscious mind, subconscious mind, and the body, and how powerful that is. So mind is the master power. We've got a conscious mind, we have a subconscious mind. What are we inviting in? What are we accepting into our conscious mind? What are we impressing upon our subconscious mind consistently, repetitively, until it becomes a belief system and a paradigm within us? The tool of thought, and shaping what he wills brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. So if you're thinking about joy, if you're thinking about results that you love, or you're thinking about things that you don't want, and you're worried about things that you don't want, and you're stressed over things that you don't want, that's what you're going to manifest in your life. He thinks in secret. It's like no one knows what's going on inside your mind. You got that going on privately, quietly, all to yourself, and it comes to pass. Comes to pass, your results are going to show what's going on in your mind. Environment is but his looking glass. Our results, it's like by their fruits you will know them. What does that mean? It means that if you want to know what somebody's like, look at their results. If you want to know what you're like, look at your results. That will determine what your paradigms are. So thank you for asking that question. It was a great one. Let's go to the next page. From Pavel, what do you mean when you say mind is an activity, not a thing? Can you please explain this? How do you develop your intuition to know what a person is like without talking to them? All right, great questions. Okay, what do you mean when you say mind is an activity, not a thing? Can you please explain this? Actually, on the heels of what I just explained, it's really thought. It's energy. You see, your mind is energy. Your conscious mind, your subconscious mind is energy. And you are in control of that. So when you say mind is like an activity, your thinking is an activity. It's an activity. It's something that you're doing, right? That's what he means. How do you develop your intuition to know what a person is like without talking to them? Well, intuition is something that we all have. The reason why people don't actually use their intuition is because they don't believe they have intuition. So know first that you have intuition. It's a faculty. Now, it must be developed. Sometimes it's not developed. In many people, it's not developed. How do you know? Well, sometimes you get quiet. You just pay attention. What am I feeling? What's going on inside of me when I'm with that person? You've very likely had experiences where you've been sitting with somebody and you're thinking, I don't trust them. Something doesn't feel right in there. Now, that could be an intuitive factor. Now, sometimes when people are feeling negative emotions about others, it's something that's going on within them. It's like somebody's feeling their own negativity and it's being mirrored back by the other person. But you just decide you're going to develop your intuitive factor and you start to notice things. Just get real quiet, pay attention, notice, and do it throughout the day. Do it every day. Anytime you meet somebody, pay attention to what are you feeling in this experience. Okay, the next question is from Jeppy. Bob often states, if you want something, money has nothing to do with it. Can you elaborate on this? All right, great. I love that question. It's another great question. What I believe, what Bob means by that is that it's not money that we're really looking for. It's not to have that income or to have the cash. It's what it produces or what it means in our life. Money represents freedom. Money gives us the opportunity to do things that we want to do when we want to do them. It gives us the opportunity of having things. And it's not the thing that we want, it's the feeling that we're striving for. What does it feel like to have the money? All right, so if you want something like a beautiful home, a beautiful car, a successful business, it's because you're striving for a feeling. That's what he means by that. What is meant by disease should be treated from the inside out? Dis-ease, as Bob describes it, it can be a hyphenated word, dis-ease, meaning your body is not at ease. It's not relaxed. So that's an emotional thing that's going on. So we've got to treat our mind, our conscious, subconscious mind. We've got to go inside and look for what's the source of the issue. Very likely it's a paradigm that's there. It's something that is so strong that it's been there for so long that it's like a dis-ease that's, creating and showing up in many different ways. So that's what he means by that. The next question is, Rodane, I received a job offer for $10,000 a month and feel pressured to take it, as I am told things such as, think of your mortgage and baby. What do I do? What do you want to do? What would you love? Is it something you really want to do? Is it something that you would enjoy doing? Is it something that is going to be perhaps connected to your passion? But if it's something that you're feeling pressured, why are you feeling pressured? The fact that you attracted that $10,000 a month job into your life is a good thing. It means that you're focused on earning a certain amount of money. And when you are, you will attract the perfect scenario. But what happens is sometimes people attract outcomes that aren't complete, or they're not exactly designed. So as an example of that, you could declare to the universe, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm easily earning, and declare what that amount of money is, while I'm doing work that I love and I'm having fun. So when you have your affirmations, adding things like, while I'm contributing to millions of people's lives, positively contributing to millions of people's lives, or doing work that I love, or I am having fun, as you can hear, it adds another level or another dimension of positivity to that goal, so that it is more encompassing of everything that you want. So if it's not something that you want to do, you can decide what you want to do with it, or maybe there's just another way that you could look at it. Maybe it's a perception thing, and you could just decide, I'm going to look at this a little differently, that this job is a wonderful opportunity, that yes, it does allow me to take care of my mortgage and the baby, and I'm going to do it. And maybe it's going to be something that's going to lead you to even bigger and better things. All right? It's an opportunity. It's like in Napoleon Hill's book, he says, recognize opportunities right where you are. This could be an opportunity. This could be a way to get you to where you want to go. All right, let's go to the next page. I think we have about 3 minutes left, so we'll see what we can get through in the next 3 minutes.
Exactly.
Thank you. Okay, from Sagar. One thing is absolutely clear, that I want to create a business, but which one? I have 2 or 3 options comes to mind. How do I choose what I really want to do out of these options? Love that question too. All these questions are so great. Okay, so what I would suggest with that is just really pay attention to, like, you play with the ideas. Pay attention to what you're feeling with them. And like when I was flying to Las Vegas last night, I was sitting there looking at my business, and I'm constantly evaluating my business and what I'm offering, and I get ideas all the time. And just in the last week, I've had a couple new ideas. So I was playing with those ideas. And this is what you do. You play with the idea. You see which one really, really feels like the right one that you want to pursue, the right one that you want to do. And then when you take a look, let's say you have 3 options, and you look at what they are, you take a look at what those 3 options are, and you just imagine, okay, if I was doing that, how would that feel? If this was the only thing that I was doing, how would that feel? I mean, maybe there's a way that you can blend all of them, or maybe there's a way that you can start with one of those ideas, get it out there, bring it to the world, it's wildly successful, and then you add another one. Or another idea is that you can decide on one of the ideas, start to bring it to the world, and if you notice that it isn't something that you really want to do, change it. If you don't like where you're going, change direction. All right, let's go to Kendra's question. Does everything go into your subconscious mind unless you consciously reject it? If so, why isn't everything that goes into your subconscious mind expressed? It is. If it's in your subconscious mind, it is expressed. Sometimes it's in there in a very soft, subtle, gentle way. But you're right. Everything's going in your subconscious mind unless you are rejecting it. That's what because it goes through our conscious mind, right? Our conscious mind accepts or rejects. You decide what's going to go in. Sometimes you're not deciding because it got in there when you were a child, right? Your paradigms were built. So everything is going in your subconscious mind, and it is all being expressed, but sometimes you don't even notice how it's being expressed. It might be expressed in such a very unusual way that you're not even noticing that it is being expressed. Okay, Brianna says, how do I gain confidence to change my surroundings? I'm starting a business and investing all of my savings. How do I remove anxiety to fully focus on these teachings? Is it normal to be hesitant? I don't know if it's normal, but it's something that definitely people have experienced. So you've got to get conditioned to focus on only what you want. How do you do that? You set a goal. You see yourself with a goal. You practice visualizing every day. You impress the idea of only what you want to happen over and over again through repetition in your mind every single day so that you condition yourself. You build the paradigms that are going to support you. And anytime any negativity comes in, you throw it out. Now, you mentioned that you started a business investing all of my savings. There's plenty more. Abundance is something that there is plenty of in the universe. So just recognize that we live in an abundant world. Money is meant to circulate. You're simply circulating it. And there's going to be plenty more where that came from. All right, so I think we'll call it a wrap. It's 9 o'clock right now. I don't think we got through all the questions, but I know, Tracy, you're going to be saving them for Bob for the next Q&A call.
You bet we are. Thank you so much, Peggy, for all of your phenomenal responses, and we greatly appreciate you jumping in and hosting this call for us this month. Thanks, everyone, for joining the call, and thanks again, Peggy. We'll see you guys next month. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Have a great day. Thanks, Tracy.
Bye-bye.